some heroes just shouldn't be meta. And no, this isn't some angry rant about complaining about Black Panther, complaining about Spider-Man, or characters like Thor being too strong or not. In my opinion, there's some legitimate game health reasons why certain heroes can thrive in the spotlight while others shouldn't, even if they are powerful. If you look at a character like Magneto or even Emma Frost, they're probably one of the more popular tanks both in ranked and pro play, and everyone acknowledges how strong they both are. But when was the last time you heard someone say we have to swap Magneto or Emma Frost is destroying us? Probably never. And you might be wondering why. In today's video, I'm going to be going over some of the heroes that I feel just shouldn't be meta in Marvel Rivals, or heroes that shouldn't be ridiculously strong. Of course, this is a open discussion type video, so make sure to leave what you think in the comments down below. Now, Magneto is a very interesting character. In his best matchup, he has about a 55% edge, and in his worst, maybe a 45%. He's a very consistent hero who's really never too oppressive, never irrelevant. He doesn't completely dominate his counters, nor does he get hard stopped by bad matchups. And in my opinion, this kind of balance is incredibly healthy for the meta. You will rarely feel like you have no counterplay against him, and even if he's strong, he doesn't warp the entire draft phase around himself. And that's quite honestly the perfect case scenario. A character that's powerful, popular, but never problematic. It's like Goldilocks in the Three Bears, picking just the right porridge. He's not too hot of a character, but he's not too cold. He's just right. Then you can look at the opposite side of the spectrum with Black Panther, and he's a rather polarizing hero, arguably the most in the game. Now, against certain supports and immobile DPS, he completely takes over the match. And there's barely any counterplay unless the Black Panther player messes up, but against the right counters, he falls flat, often feeding more than carrying. He's a character that hard wins some matchups and hard loses others. His effectiveness isn't measured by how strong he is in a vacuum, but how well the enemy team adapts to him. If the enemy team doesn't swap, he runs the lobby, and if they do, he's a liability. And that's where we start to see an issue or a problem. He's not balanced in the way Magneto is. He's balanced through extreme matchup volatility, and that's a problem when it comes to being meta. So why can't a character like Black Panther, like Spider-Man, like Penny Parker become meta? Meta meaning he's popular and frequently picked. This creates a huge issue for the game's ecosystem. Suddenly, players are forced to swap to specific counters or just lose. That leads to super unhealthy compositions, frustrating gameplay, and rock paper scissors metas where certain heroes simply auto-lose without counter-pick flexibility. Now you might be thinking, Duck, why don't they just give Black Panther tools to survive his bad matchup? But that's where things get dangerous. If you buff his survivability or give him counterplay into his weaknesses while keeping his strengths, he becomes a super oppressive character. Now imagine a character who wins super hard 80% of the time into the right characters, but when you have those weaknesses gone pretty much from the character, he can start winning matchups he should be losing, and that's where the issues arise. This is why a character like Black Panther can't and shouldn't be dominated. He can be strong, but not prevalent. His design works when he's a niche pick. Buffing him too much or making him meta forces one of the two outcomes. The first outcome is that he gets nerfed back down because he's too problematic. Or worse, he gets reworked, fundamentally changing what he is to make him more consistently viable and less polarizing. And at that point, is he even the same Black Panther you really wanted to play? Now, this is something that every player who mains a polarized hero needs to understand. If your hero has extreme strengths and weaknesses, they will probably more than likely, never be allowed to be meta. And if they are somehow meta, they somehow make it through the gauntlet, then they won't be meta for long. Not because the devs hate your favorite character, but because it's necessary for game health. Then on the flip side, if you look at a character like Magneto, he will always be stable. Now on the flip side, heroes like Magneto will always be stable. He may rise and fall in popularity, but his place in the meta is sustainable because he doesn't force a counter swap war every time he's picked. So if you want to pick up a tank or a Vanguard in Marvel Rivals, I highly encourage you to pick up Magneto. Now, I have a ton more examples of heroes that probably shouldn't be quote-unquote super meta or super duper strong because it might unbalance the game. The other example that I think a lot of other people make is Penny Parker. Now, Penny Parker has massive compositional strengths. She's amazing at the dive and brawl comps where enemies walk into her space, but she struggles heavily into poke, lacks ranged interaction, and is weaker on offense than defense. That's really what keeps her in check, those weaknesses. If Penny ever gained tools to reliably deal with a poke or take space more effectively, she quickly become oppressive. Her current streaks are only tolerable because of her clear limitations. But here's the concern, we've already been seeing Penny become too effective, quote unquote. Especially in super high elo, super high ranked matches, there is a select few individuals that play Penny to an exceptional level. These are people who understand the character through and through. Now, I'm not saying that's not possible with any other hero, but it does show the character can be extremely strong when played correctly. Now, like I said, she has a lot of issues, but if people don't realize what those issues are, then the character will become super oppressive. So if we see super major buffs to the hero, it can become a problem. Now, some more characters who should probably really never be meta are characters like Black Widow, for the sake that she can already dish out a ton of damage, that being a headshot followed up by a body shot, or a Mantis damage boost and it's just a one tap. Now, if this character were to receive any changes, it could really break the game. And this has been a long debate in multiple hero shooters, in multiple games, about all around sniping. And unfortunately, a character like Black Widow falls into that category. I've seen tons and tons of posts of why this character should never be super strong. She is strong, but she should never be super strong. I like the approach that Marvel Rivals did, where it requires a one headshot without damage boost, followed up by a simple body shot. Now, I'm not saying it's super difficult to land one headshot and one follow-up shot, but I do, again, like the approach that it does take maybe a little bit more skill. It gives the person that's getting a headshot some more time to react, so they're just not sent back to the respawn screen. Because there is a world where that character does one-shot you without Mantis boost, and I don't think I really want to read comments and see a ton of posts about that, because honestly, it'll be quite annoying. People complain about that character all the time. Now, another character was Storm. Now, Storm was meta, and we saw how good the character was, how bad the character was. Back in Season 0, the character wasn't anything special at all. I personally enjoyed playing the character because she seemed more of a duelist strategist hybrid. Kind of like Ultron, but to a different level. Storm in Season 0 relied more around team play, playing for your team, boosting your team up, and just rolling like that. Then in Season 1, they decided to buff her, which made the character quite literally pick or ban. And it was not the most fun thing in the entire world. Constantly getting the Storm ban or constantly playing against Storm that literally just steamrolled your team, it definitely made the game feel unbalanced, but it was fun during that time. Now, with the Storm change and the Human Torch change, those changes kind of showed why these certain heroes, or certain heroes in general, shouldn't be buffed or messed with. Because you start removing those weaknesses, or you start overtuning the character's possibilities and abilities, there's really no stopping the character. And that kind of goes in lines with flyers like Ultron, Iron Man, Human Torch, again, Storm, follow a similar pattern. They create binary matchups, either you have tools to deal with them or you don't. That's why devs have been nerfing them and introducing tools like Squirrel Grove's homing missile, or Thing's air jump, or buffing hit scan heroes to level the matchup field. It seems like the devs don't want a game of rock, paper, scissors, neither do we. They constantly trying to create a world where every hero can interact at least reasonably with every other, and that's a good thing. Although, I would kind of like the heroes to be their own unique thing. You pick heroes for certain reasons, or you pick heroes because you just enjoy playing that hero. It's your favorite hero in the Marvel universe. And again, I understand the approach that they want every character, in theory, to counter one another. It doesn't matter what character you're playing, whether it be Namor, he should be able to counter a flying hero or should be able to counter a vanguard. Sure, but I think there is a limit. The second you start making characters feel the exact same, you lose the fun of the game in my eyes. But of course, that's just me. You can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, this segment is a little bit about future heroes. Most in particular, War Machine. People want this character to come to game as a flying tank. And me personally, I think a flying tank is a horrible, horrible idea for the game and just the community in general. And you might be thinking, why? He's my favorite superhero. Now, a flying tank or flying vanguard makes the flyer meta a whole lot worse. And generally speaking, trying to balance a flying tank doesn't really feel good. If you give the flying tank a shield, how do you get the people that are hiding behind the shield? For example, Iron Man, Human Torch, Storm, Ultron. How do you deal with those heroes if they literally have a shield now in front of them? Adding certain characters could quite literally break Marvel rivals, and just make the game pretty miserable. And another thing, when it comes to ranked play, as more characters are added to the game, they're gonna have to start thinking about expanding the ban system. Yes, 2 bans is nice, but eventually there's going to be a limit to where there's just way too many heroes that you're gonna need banned in the competitive play. Now, I think the ban system is cool. I think it's great for the game, but like I was saying, the more heroes you add, the more bans you're gonna need. And with that, you're gonna need more time per ban, and then you have to start thinking about mirror bans, and so and so. But with all that being said and done, what's the final takeaway? Here's the hard truth, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have a hero with insane matchup dominance and let the hero be meta. The moment the character, like Black Panther, Spider-Man, Penny Parker, Iron Man, Human Torch, Storm, becomes too popular, it either breaks the game or it forces the devs to sand off of what made them fun in the first place. But with all that being said and done, what heroes do you never want to see be meta? Or what heroes do you want to see meta? I'm always curious what you guys have to say, so let me know in the comments down below. This has been Duck Films. I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.